my head is kind of like a cooking pot. And then everything that I've experienced, everything I've read comes into it and it produces my book.
And you're still studying, right? You have to go to school and then get back to get your homework done.
Yeah.
And I would like to know how you can organize your time because you have to do a lot of things in a day.
Well, as a writer, my instinct is to just write, get home, whatever, everything else, I don't care about it, just write. But of course you can't do that. I have to keep my grades and everything. So I tend to come home, try and have a bit of downtime to myself, and then do my homework. And during the breaks of homework, my downtime sometimes is writing. So occasionally I will be doing homework and then I'll have this bout of inspiration and then I'll go writing. And I'll come into the homework. And I don't know, somehow I just managed to get everything done in time.
Well, and can you please tell me the stories when you proposed your stories to Nanmi Book?
Well, actually, my family's never been in the publishing industry, so we didn't have all the information, so I had to go research online. And the flaw with that is that all that information is aimed at either American or the UK. So it wasn't case specific to my specific case, right? Because I live in Thailand, we don't have a literary agent because Thailand's market is really small, that they can't make a living out of that. So we tried to research up different companies, and eventually my mom came with Nanmi Books, and she was like, "Oh, okay, I've heard about Nanmi Books. They're a pretty reputable publisher, and they published Harry Potter." And I was like, "Well, that's my area, you know." So we sent off the manuscript to them, and we kept on trying to call them, like, "Hello, yeah, have you read my manuscript?" and asking them because they disappeared for like months, and I didn't know because I was away in the States studying over the summer. And then when I was there, I got a phone call from my mom, and she said, "Nanmi just called. They want to meet." And I was like ecstatic because I was taking a creative writing course during the summer there, and I was just like, "Oh my God, can this be it?" So when I came back, I went to meet Nanmi, and they were really nice, but they were a bit skeptical at first. They were like, "Did you really write this? Like, are you sure? Did you have
they
like
didn't
your
believe you?
Yeah, because they saw me first, and they were like, "Who's this kid who wrote a book?" You know. But then after they talked with me, I think they were pretty impressed because they put down like a pile of books in front of me and like, "Oh, they published this." And I knew every single one of them, or I'd read every single one of them. So I was like, "Oh, I know this one. Oh yeah, I've read this one. Oh, I heard of this one. This one's by this person who did this." And they were like, "What? Like, okay, so she might be the real deal." And I'm so grateful that they gave me the chance for it, you know, because considering that I wrote it in English, to publish it in only English in Thailand would be suicide because no one's gonna read it, right? So that's when they come up with the idea to translate it into Thai.
And as you have read a lot of books in many areas, who is your favorite writers?
I have to say one of them is definitely J.K. Rowling because she sparked my interest in big novels, and come on, who doesn't think Harry Potter is a masterpiece? And another one of my favorites is Jonathan Stroud. He wrote the Bartimaeus trilogy, and that is the only series of books that has ever made me cry. I do not cry watching movies or doing anything, but I cry reading these books because it was so epic and it was so like touching for me. Also, one of my other favorites is Owen Colfer. He wrote the Artemis Fowl series, and 2 years back, I actually got to meet him in New York because I was in New York during the summer, and he had a book tour. So I was like, "Mom, we need to go, you know, we need to go." And I was completely starstruck when I met him. I was speechless, which doesn't normally happen. I mean, I met David Beckham as a kid, and I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. I met Owen Colfer, and I was just like, I couldn't speak. Oh my God, he's like what I aspire to be. But I like to use this analogy that my head is kind of like a cooking pot, and then everything that I've experienced, everything I've read comes into it, and then I kind of mix it around, and then it produces my book.
I see. And your book is in English, right?
Yes.
And it's now already translated into Thai?
Yes.
Tell me a bit about this story.
Um, well, as I told you, Nanmi was very insistent on, okay, we have to have a Thai version, otherwise it's not going to sell. So I said, okay, sure, I'm happy with that, because then if people who can't really read English fluently or can't read Thai fluently, they can read the other version and then compare them so that they can understand the book better. So Nanmi gave me a set of translators, and it had, okay, this person who translated this from this, and they were all really famous, until it came down to Ajahn Sumali, who translated Harry Potter. And I literally like, I need her. This is like, oh my god, I need her. And Nanmi's like, you know, very tough choice. So they gave me her email, and she lives in the UK. So how is this gonna work? I had to email her, and I was like, hi, I'm N.Porpier. I come from Thailand, and you know, I'm working with Nanmi Books right now. They gave me your email. Would you like to take a look at my work for possible translation? And she replied, and she was like, well, I'm really busy right now, you know, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time, but just send me a few chapters. So I send off around 3 chapters to her, and I wait for a week, and she replies to me, and she's like, actually, can you send me your whole book? And at this moment, I'm kind of like, I don't want to jinx it, I don't want to say anything that might not happen. But eventually she agreed, and she was like, okay, yeah, this is the real deal, I'm gonna translate for you. And I felt so honored to work with her, because she's one of the leading translators in Thailand, and she translated Harry Potter. I mean, she got to work with J.K. Rowling's work and actually officially translated. I was dumbstruck, yeah, I can say. When she translated Harry Potter, I know that she couldn't just email J.K. Rowling and ask questions. So she always had to go through the publisher and all that, you know, all that nitty-gritty stuff. Whereas with me, she just sent me an email like, oh, Pierre, you know, there's this word that I'm not sure how to translate it. Should it be this word or this word? And we just conversed, and it was a really efficient way of translating.
And how did you feel during the translation process? Because your book will be publicized.
I felt honored. I felt that Nanmi really gave me this chance, that they saw that it was worth actually translating into another language, and I couldn't believe it was happening to me.
Pia is a very active girl. She's been active for her whole life. I try to raise her as she's my best friend, not only my kid. I don't want to be only her mom. I want to be everything that she can talk to. I don't believe that you don't have time for your kid. Even I'm working, you know, every day. I still have time, and I have to have my spare time for my kid. So we are kind of like friends more than a mother and, you know, daughter. She doesn't give up things easily. This is what I taught her since she was young. She wants to do so many activities, and I let her do it. But I told her that you can't give up. If you decided to do this, it's like, she started writing a book. I told her that it might take you like 2-3 years. Once you start, you have to decide. Once you decided, you cannot give up.
I've gotten emails from adults who have said that, I always wanted to write a book. I never really got around to it, but you inspired me to, even as a kid. And it's like, I know that my next trilogy is set to be similar to this, but not as much fantasy. It's more like adventure and thriller with a bit of crime into it.